What is up team, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be going over the semi-finals for the CrossFit season and just the overall qualification process for getting to the CrossFit Games in the 2021 season. So yesterday, February 18th, CrossFit HQ announced the 10 semi-finals and their locations for the 2021 season. These semi-finals are going to take place across 4 weekends, starting on May 24th and running through to June 14th. Now, these semi-finals are a replacement for sanctionals, which are a replacement for regionals, but they almost feel like a return to regionals with sanctional events, if that makes any sense. So for example, in Europe, the Lowlands Throwdown was a high level event already, and that is now being used as a semi-final rather than a return to the European regional, which was a CrossFit event. This is now a Lowlands Throwdown with a CrossFit semi-final taking place, like the sanctional events were CrossFit affiliated, and that allowed you to qualify, if that makes any kind of sense. Personally, I was a fan of sanctionals. I thought it was really good for getting CrossFit out there and getting it in different countries, allowing athletes to travel to different countries. You saw each country bring their own kind of unique spin on things. The Norwegian CrossFit Championship, for example, had that running event which was over like an ice field, which I thought was absolutely incredible. It had Iceland where they were running in the mountains and things like that for one event. So this is how I think CrossFit are trying to keep that uniqueness across different countries and continents, but returning it to a more regional style format. I think what sanctionals did and what CrossFit want to avoid is it gave too many people the opportunity to qualify without proving that they were the best in their region. By proving you were the best in your country, some of these countries unfortunately were not up to the standard of the best athletes. So they were getting to the CrossFit Games, but they were getting found out straight away in the first event, as we found out. Now with this format, you still get plenty of different events in different regions. They can hopefully bring their unique spin on things, but you're able to really prove that people who have qualified from that semi-final deserve to have qualified and deserve to be at the CrossFit Games. So we'll go through all of these semi-finals and where they're going to be. We're starting off in North America. They have got 4 events. Obviously, this is due to the CrossFit market. That is the biggest market in the world for CrossFit, is the North American continent. Making sure they've got enough events, they're spread out all over the continent quite well, and making sure that they can service that market effectively. This helps make sure that the number of athletes that they've got competing in that continent have enough opportunity to qualify and get to where they should deserve to be. Starting in Canada, we've got the CrossFit Atlas Games. Moving back into the US, we've got the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge, we've got the West Coast Classic, and we've got the Granite Games. West Coast Classic, Granite Games, already kind of well-established events. They should be able to bring their expertise and experience in running these events to make sure that a good semi-final is being run. The other 2 events as well have run previously in the past. They're in good geographical locations to allow athletes to travel there, they allow media to travel there. So those are 4 good locations for that continent. In Europe, I'm obviously from the UK, so I am gutted that Strengthening Depth wasn't chosen for a semi-final. They announced that they wouldn't be hosting the semi-final this year. That does lead me to hope that potentially they could be selected in future years to host a semi-final, and that these semi-final locations aren't set in stone for like 10 years. They are going to be up for bidding almost every year from different vendors, different events, which is really good. And again, it helps spread things out, gives other opportunities to different countries and different events moving forward. The 2 European events, however, one is going to be in the Netherlands, one is going to be in Germany. We've got the Lowlands Throwdown and we've got the German Throwdown. Both of those, again, really good events. In Europe, those are 2 very central locations, and it looks like with the current COVID-19 situation, those 2 countries have more of a handle on what's going on compared to the UK and other countries where they might still be struggling. And I think CrossFit are using that in their decision making to make sure that these events are going to run, and hopefully are going to be able to run with some sort of fan capacity at these events. In South America, there is one event, the Brazil CrossFit Championship, which is held in Sao Paulo. In Asia, we've got the CrossFit Asia Invitational. So this is going to be a rebranding of the CrossFit Asia Championship, which was held in Shanghai previously and Chengdu. However, moving it to South Korea. It is believed that it's been moved to South Korea due to its better geographical location. Although Shanghai and Chengdu are massive cities with big populations, they can be trickier to get to for athletes, media, fans, and hopefully the better relationship between South Korea and the American market means that media can get there easier, they can increase the profile better, and they can better service the Asia community. In Africa, we're returning to Cape Town with Fittest in Cape Town. In South Africa, there probably wasn't too many options. I would imagine South Africa is the biggest market in that continent for now. There are obviously going to be other emerging countries, but as probably one of the most developed countries in the continent, that was always going to be kind of nailed on. In Oceania, there will be one semi-final. That is going to be the Torium Pro in Brisbane. That's one I was surprised at. I thought that potentially there could be 2 events in Oceania with the big market you've got in Australia, and New Zealand has obviously got a fair few high-level athletes and a big market as well. So that could be something that might change over the next couple of years. I would expect there to be 2 in Australia to service that market effectively moving forward. So that is all of the semi-finals and their locations that have been announced. So how exactly are athletes able to qualify? First off, we start with the Open. That is starting on the 11th of March. So far, it has been announced that there are 3 weeks of workouts. However, it hasn't been confirmed that there's only going to be 1 workout a week. So it leaves the door open for multiple workouts a week, which I don't know if I'm excited for or nervous for. You then have the opportunity to compete in quarterfinals. These again are going to be open style online workouts where you compete online. Whether this is going to carry on after the pandemic is kind of eased up remains to be seen, whether they'll maybe go back to having in-person events for quarterfinals. However, with the larger amount of athletes that are going to be eligible for those quarterfinals, it might not be viable logistically to host that many people in an in-person competition, but it's something that they may look to moving forward. From there, you move into the semi-finals, which I've just announced. So those are going to be spread into their regions. So the top athletes from North America will be invited to one of those events in the North American continent, same for Europe, Oceania, and so on. There will then be a last chance qualifier for athletes who are within 3 spots of qualifying for the CrossFit Games. This will be at the end of June and will not give those athletes a lot of time to peak and prepare properly for the CrossFit Games, which is scheduled to start in the end of July. So that is the qualification process. It is quite long, but it does give plenty of opportunity for people to qualify. It gives more people from the Open the opportunity to come through and qualify. Now this is where I'm not sure how it's going to work yet, personally. From an athlete and a coach, I'm not an elite athlete. I'm nowhere near that level. However, I understand how the season works and I understand how peaking for competition works. If you go through and you get to that last chance qualifier and that is how you're going to try and qualify for the CrossFit Games because you haven't been able to before, it is going to be very hard for you to peak effectively when the Games actually does come around. So you've only got that very short window between you potentially qualifying and the Games itself. Where sanction was previously, coaches and athletes could look at different events, they could qualify early, they could qualify at the Dubai CrossFit Championships, and then they've got plenty of time to recover and peak again. You could pick and choose a season around those. Going back to having these scheduled dates and windows, it does take athletes back to having a very strict and defined season, and within that it takes away some of the freedom that sanctionals actually gave some of these athletes. Whether or not they enjoyed the freedom of being able to pick and choose events, being able to pick and choose what country they could go and compete in, or whether they actually preferred having this set window throughout the year, that's going to impact training, that's going to impact coaching, that's going to impact periodization of training. So it'd be interesting to see which coaches and which athletes are able to adapt to that. Some of them would have been in the old format, so they'll understand it. Some of them would have come into this sanctional format, and now they're going back into this format. So it's going to be interesting to see who will actually be able to adapt. From my point of view, I actually really like sanctionals. As mentioned, I like the opportunity to pick and choose countries, go to wherever you wanted to compete and earn your spot wherever you choose. However, it'd be interesting to see how the semi-final works, whether or not these vendors and these events are going to be able to have their own unique spin on things, or whether they're going to be tightly controlled by CrossFit. That will remain to be seen. I'd like to think that with Eric Roser in charge, he will allow some sort of unique, some sort of individuality at each event, but that remains to be seen. Other than that, we all wait and see. The Open is just around the corner. I hope your training is going well. If you want, check out my Road to the Open vlogs. They are on my channel in a playlist. Other than that, if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoy any videos to do with CrossFit, training, fitness, nutrition, and all that stuff, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.